Today we meet an extraordinary woman who's doing incredible things in our city of Perth. She's a woman who is deeply moved by the issue of homelessness, and she's decided to do something about it. Startup founder of the Underground Collaborative, Katie Liew, is working with people who are at risk or experiencing homelessness by providing them solutions through employment. Here is Katie's story.
I was 2 years old when I came from Malaysia to Australia with my family, my 4 other sisters and my parents. My parents had been through a lot in Malaysia. There were some family problems and they just wanted to start a new life with their kids, so it was a nice change. My parents really worked very hard to bring us up, and my mum worked 2 jobs when she was a nurse. She's since retired, but my dad wasn't doing what he was doing, I think, in Malaysia, so they almost had to sort of restart their life, and my mum was doing night shift and day shift and trying to pay for all of us, so that was a huge sacrifice for them. I wouldn't say I was daddy's girl. I definitely spent a lot of time with him, going to the markets every single week, doing the groceries, going for walks in the morning, doing the gardening together. We all did chores, so it wasn't like it was just me. We were very much raised to help out around the house. And because there were 5 girls, though they were all females, my parents wanted boys, so we were raised like, I guess, boys in that way. Education's always a really big thing, I think, particularly for Asian families. It's you want to make your parents proud, and especially because they have sacrificed so much to bring us here. It would be remiss not to, I suppose, take advantage of the good education system that we have, access to all the things that we wouldn't otherwise have access to in Malaysia. All my sisters are very, very intelligent. 2 engineers, 1 graphic designer, 1 cytologist. Definitely, I think growing up and learning more about myself, I realised that academics aren't really for everybody, and intelligence isn't just through academics. It's other social skills and other skills that you can offer that aren't just through your typical skill that you learn at school. Because I wanted to be like my sister, I did all the really smart subjects. I didn't do very well and I failed them. And it was so bad that I actually couldn't get into university, so I had to do like a backdoor. But then I managed to get into accounting, commerce degree, did accounting and business law, double major, and then went to mining, which I was very fortunate to have been into. That's when the mining industry was booming, and exited university, went straight into the industry, and then did that for about 10 years. So when I was in mining, I actually went on site, did fly in, fly out on a 9 days on, 5 days off roster. That was on a gold mine, and then I went to the oil and gas industry. But when I went to the corporate role, it was very different to what I had experienced on site. You'd imagine that being on site, you would be around a lot of males and you'd probably be somewhat ostracized or treated differently, but in fact, I felt like the culture in the corporate office back in Perth was very much more male. Obviously not as dominant, but definitely that culture is very like a boys' club. And I felt like an ant, in a big mound, and didn't really have much contribution to what I was doing, so felt quite small. I left actually on 2 occasions in the mining industry. One occasion I was made redundant, and then I also, from my second job, I was performance managed out. So that was a pretty different experience for me, and obviously being made redundant doesn't make you feel very good, but being performance managed out was another sort of experience to go through, and definitely not very pleasant, and kind of felt a lot of different emotions, a little bit angry, and I thought, well, this is the best time to travel, because I'd always wanted to spend a significant amount of time overseas, and though I couldn't spend as much time as I would have liked to, I decided to spend 2 months in Africa, which is somewhere that I was always very passionate about in terms of international aid and how I could learn more about those countries. So I went to 9 different countries, camping and overlanding. Started in Tanzania, then travelled all the way down to South Africa. And I think travelling by bus, you really get to see the landscape and the countryside, and how poverty is affecting those different communities, and how it changes even as you travel down south. And that really opened my eyes to I suppose, what I thought poverty was like, and even just in terms of tourism and how Westerners have sort of impacted those countries and communities. When I returned back from my trip, I really felt a huge mixture of emotions. I was, completely deflated at the state of our world. I was angry, I was frustrated, I was sad. I didn't really know what to do. I felt quite helpless. But I think the silver lining was it really reignited my passions for life, especially of those less fortunate. I think when I was working in a corporate role, I didn't really know where my place was, and I tried really hard to make sure that whatever I was doing was going to make the most beneficial impact for people that I wanted to help. And while I didn't necessarily know how I was going to do that, I really felt like I was brought back to life in a sense, and it demonstrated to me this is where I needed to be. So I started the Underground Collaborative in 2017 because I really wanted to start something that was going to be sustainable and long-term. And it's a social enterprise that provides employment and housing solutions for people experiencing or at risk of homelessness. And how it all came about was me wanting to do something that wasn't going to be short-term. And so I really started by just talking to people, and I would connect to people on LinkedIn, or just making sure that I was going to networking events, and signing businesses, social impact. And I really spent a good year doing all the sort of foundation work and making sure that I knew as much as possible about social enterprise and business. I do think my background in the corporate sector has really been beneficial in what I was doing, but that's definitely not required in terms of starting a social enterprise. You really want to surround yourself with people who understand the space and spend some time talking to them and understanding what it is that you want to do and how you want to go about doing it. Certainly funding has been very tricky. That's not unique to social enterprise. That is very common to business in general and small business as well. Absolutely, social enterprise is something, another kettle of fish. But I think the first place to start would really just be to talk to people and understand the problem that you're trying to solve more than anything. We have really amazing plans for the Underground Collaborative. In November 2019, we launched Ground & Co, which is our first employment initiative, where we train and employ people who are experiencing homelessness to become baristas.
Before I came into Ground & Co, I stand alone, been unemployed. Having stayed in Perth for 5 years, I've never been exposed to the outside working conditions, and I find that her standards of guiding me and her directions is amazing. I am very grateful of her that I have a place to look forward to. At least now I can be a little bit independent in terms of my financial status.
I'm studying law with a goal to be a humanitarian lawyer, so when she told me that the Ground & Co was about helping those that had been subject to domestic violence and homelessness, I thought what a great way to kind of put both of my worlds together, because I've been in hospitality since I was about 15 years old. So I thought it was a really incredible opportunity to something to get into, I guess. My thoughts on Ground & Co and the Underground Collaborative that are both run by Katie, I think they're really incredible. They are really for starting things that are going to make real change, and they're not about like band-aid solutions. They're about giving people like the skills and ability to get better things from their life and to do more with their futures.
We would really love to be able to open more cafes around Perth and WA. Bricks and mortar cafes would be great, and also around the regional and remote areas of WA. I really like to be able to look at housing solutions, because I do think that employment's one thing, but without a home it's very hard to sustain, and vice versa. So always thinking about how we can be more innovative in helping people that we're trying to really help break the cycles of homelessness, and homes and jobs are really a crucial part of that model in achieving what we want to do with the Underground Collaborative. If people want to help tackle the homelessness problem, or even just the Underground Collaborative, learning about homelessness is a really great place to start. It might seem small and ineffective, but I think education is a huge part of knowing about the social issues that we are facing as a community. Of course, education is one thing, but we can't really make an impact without funding, so donations are always a great place and really makes a huge difference to us. Our message of hope to anyone that's feeling overwhelmed is to never underestimate the power of one, and to know that you don't have to change the world to change the world. You can change your own world to change someone else's. My name is Katie Liew, and this is Uplifting Studios.
I hope that watching Katie's story today has stirred up something in your heart. Maybe there's an issue out there that you feel you would like to do something about, but you don't know where to start. Listen, just start with what you have. You may not have a lot, but just get started, because when you start, that's when things begin to unfold. If you've enjoyed watching this episode, then please subscribe to our channel so that you never miss any other episode. Until then, my name is Annie Gishuru. Thank you so much for